So let's get right into U.S. versus Canada. Gold medal hockey. So Canada, they survive a scare against Finland in their semifinal game on Friday. In the U.S., they pretty handedly just smoked Slovakia, not even close. Setting up a gold medal game, which, I mean, you knew it was inevitable. These were easily the two best teams in the tournament. We could probably tell you that going into the Olympics. And, man, you could just tell, once the game started, just a completely different feeling to this one. And the U.S. able to take a quick lead as Matt Boldy absolutely embarrasses a couple of Colorado Avalanche defensemen, Devon Taves and Cale Makar. Able to split right between them, able to generate his own little breakaway, able to beat Jordan Binnington. Quick 1-0 lead for Team USA, and then kind of even, I would say, in that first period. You just very physical bruising. But then in the second period, that's when Canada really started to turn this one around. And Canada it was an onslaught from there. Complete one-sided. Canada getting so many chances, including a 5-on-3 opportunity for like 90 seconds there in that second period. But the U.S. holds firm. They don't allow any goals on that. It wasn't until towards the end of the second period, Cale Makar kind of got free on the right face-off dot. Able to beat Connor Hellebuyck over his shoulder, and bam. Just like that, 1-1. And at that point, it's like, shoot. You know, Connor Hellebuyck standing on his head at that point. And not to say that this was a bad goal. That was a tremendous shot by Makar. Very tiny window to get that in. But based on how the game was going, with how Canada was just starting to dominate in the second period, it was just like, all right, they got on the board. You know, here we go. U.S. might be in real trouble if they don't turn this around in their favor quick. On into the third period. And it was much of the same of the second period. Canada getting countless chance after chance after chance after chance. Not only did they dominate the shots in this one, 42-28, they basically doubled the U.S. in shots, but I would say at least half of those were grade A scoring chances. And then I would say at least like 10 of those chances were like, how do you not score on this sort of chances for Canada? That's the type of looks that they were getting. And the save of the game, of course, came with Connor Hellebuyck in the crease. He's pretty much out of the crease at this point, and Devon Taves right on the doorstep, as open as a net can get. And Hellebuyck kind of reaches back, and it got just enough of that puck with his stick to deflect the puck wide. But that was an absolute wide open net. It's like, how does this not go in? Just a tremendous save by Hellebuyck. You know, one of the best saves ever. And that helps keep Canada from taking the lead. And, I mean, let's see. Macklin Celebrini, he had a tremendous Olympics. He had a breakaway chance he couldn't convert. Connor McDavid, who was eventually named Olympic MVP, he had a breakaway chance that he just completely botched it. Too much stick handling, couldn't even really get a shot off. And then, besides the Taves opportunity, Nathan MacKinnon. The equivalent of a layup in basketball. Bit of an odd man rush. MacKinnon gets it. near side, absolute wide open net. And he shoots it wide. That's one of those, again, like, especially a guy of that caliber, I don't know how the heck this guy misses this. How? Unbelievable. So many chances for Team Canada, but Connor Hellebuyck, tremendous defense, and then even the defense in front of him played spectacular, specifically on those penalty kills. United States perfect for the entire Olympics on the penalty kill, which is just insane. Going that many games against this level of talent and not allowing a single power play goal. Just spectacular work by this U.S. team. And I mentioned specifically that the 5-on-3 earlier in the game had a big penalty kill late in the third period as well that Canada could not connect on either. And the officials were letting a lot go. Of course, you had a couple of high sticks both ways, notably the Jack Hughes one, which we actually had a double minor on because he was spitting chiclets. Had a chipped tooth after that one. Got all of that one. But that was really the only penalties that they were really calling in the last 10 minutes of this one. There's a bit of a controversy as well. You talk about, a couple games ago in the quarterfinals for Canada. They nearly lost on they gave up a go-ahead goal with 5 minutes left. And it came on a pretty blatant too many men on the ice. Clearly 6 skaters on the ice, goes down, gets the go-ahead goal. Of course, Canada was able to eventually win that one. But another similar, maybe not really similar, but, maybe the U.S. getting away with the too many men on the ice there and down the stretch in that third period. With this time it was one of those gray areas with players changing. Puck going up ice, U.S. was in the middle of a line change. Guys coming off the ice, guys jumping on. But I believe it was one of the Hughes. It was either Jack or Quinn Hughes. But he was one of the players going off. And it hit him in the skates initially, which okay, he can't really do much about that. But then he actually turns and plays the puck. Which at that point, they probably should have called that one, but they didn't. But again, that would have been let's be honest, another killed penalty by Team U.S. And how many of the other chances I laid out for you by Canada that they blew in that third period alone. So a loss, we go to overtime. And the golden goal. Jack Hughes, which, by the way, Zach Werenski had a tremendous... it's crazy that he even kept this puck alive. He nearly lost it. And if he didn't land this pass on point, this is easily a 2-on-0 the other way, and very hard to envision the game going much longer after that. But Werenski finds Hughes, buries it, past Bennington, and that's it. Overtime. Now, I am of the camp, I know they wanted to go with NHL rules with the 3-on-3 overtime. But, at least once they got to the quarterfinals and beyond, they really should have gone to 5-on-5. It's okay with some of the group play games you want to go with the 3-on-3, but, man, regardless, hey, the U.S., they made it happen, and Canada was establishing themselves as an elite 3-on-3 team. And especially with how the U.S. got outplayed, just that grit and phenomenal goaltending by Connor Hellebuyck. Again, this was one of the greatest hockey games I've ever witnessed. Tremendous hockey game. There's so much talent in this game. And let's be honest, U.S., even historically, not even just with hockey, but just in general, even back to the early days in United States history, this country thrives as an underdog, and the U.S., especially with this game going on, absolute underdogs. Just so much talent on Team Canada. I mean, the U.S. team obviously has a lot of talent on it, but easily on paper, Canada has a much better roster and just the way they played. But the U.S. still able to thrive. And that was the thing. Boo-hoo, Nathan McKinnon. You blew a wide-open net, but he was saying, the better team didn't win today. Yeah, boo-hoo. That's why you play the game. And that's what can happen, especially in a one-off championship game. We've talked about it even in the middle of the regular season. Sometimes the better team in the game doesn't always win. And that's the beauty of sports. It's why you play. At the end of the day, it's the team who scores the most goals. And in this case, it was Team USA. Phenomenal stuff. And a couple of tidbits here. I thought it was really touching with the Johnny Gaudreau jersey, which they had up in the locker room throughout the Olympics, but bringing that on the ice, really touching. With Johnny Gaudreau, unfortunately getting killed by a drunk driver with his brother about a year and a half ago. Very tragic. So really nice touching tribute with that. And then I don't even think there was a dry eye in the entire country once they brought his kids out and they did the photo at the end. I mean, just unbelievable. Unbelievable moment. By the way, I think it was one of his kids' birthday as well. Johnny Gaudreau Jr., I think, was his birthday, actually, yesterday. And then, on top of that, being the anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, U.S. getting their first hockey gold medal against a gauntlet Team Russia. Just everything about yesterday was just absolutely perfect. Amazing. And to make it a little even more perfect, obviously a lot of skaters on Team USA that are representing from Michigan. But interesting tidbit, all 4 players on the ice for Team USA for the winning goal were from Michigan. Of course, you had Connor Hellebuyck, Commerce, Michigan. Dylan Larkin, of course, from Waterford. Zach Werenski from Grosse Pointe. And then Jack Hughes, the Hughes brothers, by the way. A little bit more of a loose Michigan connection. Actually born in Orlando, Florida, and actually did some of their youth hockey in Toronto, interestingly enough. But they did spend their high school years in Canton, Michigan. And that's actually what they listed on their bios for their hometown. So all intents and purposes, all Michigan cast out there for the final, the golden goal. So just a tremendous moment right there for the Olympics, capping off a great Olympics for USA Hockey. Men's and women's coming away with the gold over Team Canada, which, again, that's that's their country's sport. That's it. That's their magnum opus. And in terms of the major sports here in the United States, the 4, I mean, let's be honest, hockey is 4 of 4 in terms of people playing it. And we beat Canada, and that's their number 1 sport. So tremendous, absolutely tremendous.
America, yeah. What you gonna do when we come for you now? If you missed today's installment of On the Docket, podcast it at foxsports1019.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in live weekdays at noon on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.